Hi, you guys. So, have you ever been thinking that this old injury you've had might still be running the show in your body? Like, technically it's healed, but it keeps persisting? What's up with that? Maybe you sprained your ankle years ago, or you strained your back lifting something 10 years ago and it was really bad, but clearly healed. Or you have a scar from a surgery that happened and obviously the scar is healed, it moves, but your body's still moving like it remembers something. Or maybe one side of the back always feels tighter now, or walking gives you a little bit of a limp. When your back goes tight on one side, usually that results in the hips becoming uneven, and people don't even think about that. I've seen that over and over. I mean, imagine you got your spine, right? You got your inward curve in the low back, and you want these paraspinal muscles to be attaching down evenly onto your hips. But if you are holding on one side and side bent because it's tighter here, that hip tends to lift up. And that's when you get seen by somebody and they say, oh, your leg is shorter. Well, that's bullcrap. You actually have this tension that keeps compensating. Maybe your neck has had an issue with it. And now that itself is causing your shoulders to move. And you've been told, well, that's just aging, or that's what happens when you get older. That simply isn't the whole story. The issue is an ongoing damaged tissue. What if it's an old protective pattern your body learned around the injury because it's always ever trying to help you? Scars and old injuries don't just affect muscles or tissue at the time of the injury. They affect this whole network, and the fascia is part of that. Your nervous system, the breathing patterns that you've taken on, the posture that's resulted from that injury. Your circulation's affected as it's moving through that area, and then how force travels through the body as you move. Sometimes what lingers isn't the injury itself, it's the strategy your body's taken. I'm Dr. Melanie Carlone. I'm a somatic physical therapist, a yoga instructor, a breath and nervous system educator, and for over 40 years, God, it's hard to believe, I've helped people living with pain and tension, fatigue. Often when the medical system hasn't been able to help, we can unravel things and listen, finding long-standing patterns. And once you see them and they make sense and you bring direction to them, you name it, you have to slow down enough to listen, and it's almost like that part of the younger body, the injury itself goes, finally, you're paying attention. So welcome back to the Fascia Frontier Series. I am so into doing these things to give information to people that maybe couldn't make sense out of it, and nobody in the current medical system seems to be helping. In this series, what I'm exploring is fascia as a living responsive network that affects everything. It's not just tissue. It's not just wrapping around your muscles. It's this crazy involved communication system that surrounds all your movement, the sensation in your skin, the way your body supports itself. So today I want to look at a question so many people carry in themselves. Once an old injury or scar settles in, is that pattern permanent? Like, can it change after all these years? And the good news is, the body is so much more adaptable than we've been led or taught to believe. I often tell my patients, you're not a piece of meat that's just like this. You take an MRI and that's how it is. You are a flickering flame. It's constantly changing. But to understand how change happens, you first have to understand why did the pattern form, and then what can you do about it? So the body learns to protect. That's what it does. When an injury happens, the body adapts quickly to what happened, and that adaptation is really smart. If you strain your back, your body's going to tighten around that area, and you will stop rotating fully. It'll shift your breathing. Now you may be bracing through your ribs or your belly into your hips or your jaw without even realizing it, and it's not failure. It's not that something's broken. It's protection of this awesome system that's supporting us. Your nervous system's always asking, how do I help get this being through this situation safely? And it creates strategies in the only way it knows how. And that's by tightening. And if that strategy works, even temporarily, the body may keep using it because it didn't get the message to stop. So sometimes long after tissue's healed, not because your body's broken, but because your nervous system is on alert and hasn't received the message, you now have options. You want to let it know you're safe enough to move differently. And fascia is the element that you're telling that story to. Because fascia carries forward these tension patterns, load transfer issues, how you move throughout the whole rest of the body. So if the original injury is old, why does the body still feel organized around it? Fascia is like, it's a whole body network. So when one area gets guarded, other areas have to adapt. Like if you had a fishing net up and you pull on one corner, with a sensitive enough awareness, you can see every one of those holes of the fishing net change. That's how your fascia is. So if one part of the back stiffens up after an old injury, the ribs just won't move as freely and your breathing gets more shallow. You pull up on one side, so the pelvis shifts. Now your leg seems shorter and your walking's affected. Your spine is going to rotate less in one direction and more in another. Or one hip may start doing more of the work. The neck now has to start compensating because your leg's shorter. You're not going to walk around like this. So now you pull more on the other side to keep your eyes level and your head oriented. Like that's a deep need in our bodies. The body's always trying to help. It's trying to preserve function. It's trying to keep you upright, keep you going. So a local injury can become a global kind of pattern. And after enough time, that pattern now feels normal. Like, I don't even remember when this started, you might think, or I thought I was just aging. You look in the mirror like, why am I sideways? And then when you try to change it, it doesn't feel right. So that's why we work together. That's why you bring in patterns. Because what persists isn't just structure, it's a learned map. And maps can change, but you need to be able to see the map, right? So this is where I want to offer some hope. Fascia is this amazing living tissue, like a flickering flame, and it responds to the load you place on it. It responds to the hydration you have in the body and the food that you feed it. It responds to your breath, to how you move and the changes in movement, doing different things. It responds to your nervous system, the stress that you feel. It is totally dynamic and very responsive. But long-standing fascial patterns don't change well easily. You can't force them, right? So you see your shoulders are crooked. You keep trying to remember to bring it up. It doesn't work like that. They change through safe, graded, repeatable input and compassionate care. So that means small movements, easy pacing, using your breath, choosing what you're putting in your body, what you're drinking, what your minerals are, where your food's coming from, the microbiome of the food that you're taking in. It responds to your curiosity. Just focusing attention on it. On PET scans, you can see increased blood flow into the area of your body you're focusing on. So you don't want to ambush the nervous system with force to change. This is why I prefer movement meditations over aggressive stretching, and why I keep talking about all the other elements for health. When you move with listening rather than dominating, when you bring compassionate care to the body's much more likely to update. And one of the most powerful ways to update is to first acknowledge the protector. And to do that, we move in the direction of stiffness really gently to explore it, and then move in the direction of ease, which is the way the protector's pulling you, and do that several times to name the protector, and then come back and see what changed. Not by overriding the body, but by conversing with it. So let's try this practice of release. This is really helpful for people with old back stiffness or an old strain pattern. Maybe a leg feels uneven. So there's this asymmetry from years of guarding. or a direction that just doesn't feel as available, like when you're doing yoga or you're turning to look over your shoulder, okay? So let yourself feel supported. You don't need to be rigidly upright. Just let your spine be easy. Feel your sit bones down evenly. Let your jaw soften. Let your tongue rest behind your front teeth, but soft in your mouth. And take a slow breath in from the low back and a longer breath out. The long, soft breath out reminds the vagus nerve that things are safe. Now, we're going to gently turn to one side. So keep your sit bones down and turn from your belly button, your solar plexus, your upper chest, your head's last. Keep breathing into the low back. Come back to center. Reorient your sit bones and turn to the other side. So you might be able to see my old injury, 15, bad break in my leg. I'm going to turn as easily to the left as I do the right. Okay, so notice if you have a stiffness. Now, we're going to turn again into the direction of ease. Just enough to feel the stiffness pull in. Keep breathing in the low back and come out. We're going to do that 5 times. Exhaling, turn in the direction of ease. That's the protectors, like always holding you in that direction. And you might find exhaling on the way out, inhaling on the way in, or vice versa. Just be aware of your breath. Belly button, solar plexus, upper chest, head. You probably notice as you do this 3, 4, 5 times that it gets easier. That you can turn a little further as you do it. Okay, so you're giving voice to the protector. And let the exhale tell the body, you don't need to rush. Stay really curious. And then come back to center. Okay? Acknowledging the protector. Now, into the direction of stiffness. Wow. I mean, I've been doing this for years and it still just blows me away. Notice how that feels. And just pause kind of in awe. Breathing in the low back ribs, let it really sink in. So that change, which I'm going to guess most of you felt, maybe less effort, maybe a little less fear, just a little less internal resistance, that change matters. Is it going to get rid of old long-standing patterns just one time? Probably not, although sometimes that happens too. This is how the nervous system learns, not from being forced, but from being shown. It's like a listening conversation with your body in the language your body has. So if you're doing this with me now, just pause and notice. Did one side soften? You may even stand up and check your hips. Are they even? Did your breath change? Did the movement feel less defended in the stiff area? Let me know in the comments what you notice. I love hearing how your body responds when I bring these kinds of movement meditations in. And if this kind of gentle, science-informed, thoughtful, nervous system-aware movement helps you, help a sister out and subscribe, because that's how this thing works. And then we can keep exploring. I can keep devoting time to this. So just to end, I want to bring up a really common misunderstanding and clarify it. You're not breaking adhesions. You're not forcing or attacking scar tissue or old holding. You're not trying to force fascia because it doesn't work that way. The body responds so much better to respectful input than violence. Everything does. So what we're often helping improve is gliding between the layers, movement variability, circulation, lymphatic flow, breath mechanics, really important entry point into the nervous system, how much load you can take, and notice the nervous system's willingness to change. So simply, you're helping the body communicate better by speaking its language, not forcing our often disconnected language onto the body. And that matters because fascia is really innervated. It's part of how the body senses itself, Some people, researchers even believe intuition lies here, or the sense that someone's looking at you from behind, that kind of spidey sense. So when an old area in us gets stiff or overprotected, many things are affected. Yeah, movement can feel unsafe or uneven, but you also start to deaden or become dissociated from things. So all of these practices, slow, small, repeatable motion in the language the body has, helps. It restores the signal quality in your cellular network. It tells your system, hey, you can sense this area again. It's safe. You can move here. And you can include this piece that wasn't involved in the body in the whole spectrum of your movement now. And that changes much more than your range of motion. It can change your effort. It can change pain levels, but it also can change your confidence and your ease and your sense of peace inside. Movement is really powerful, but it's not the whole story. If you want fascia in the nervous system to be more adaptable, support the terrain of your body. I'm going to talk about this more and more. Hydration, mineralization close to hydration, critically the food that supports tissue repair and inflammation patterns to go down, because your fascia depends on all of that. Fluid, minerals, and cellular energy, what's being fed so it can glide and do all the things it's designed to do. And if you're finding yourself chronically stressed, underhydrated, no time, eating on the run, eating food that has names you can't pronounce, processed food, you're inflamed and you're going to be depleted. And your tissue becomes more irritable and less adaptable. And it's not that it's bad or wrong. It's just gone into protective mode. So your connective tissue depends on structured water, which depends on hydration and minerals. Those minerals help create the structured water. They literally are helping the battery of your cells work better. And that structured water regulates the nerve signaling and the muscle function. Balanced nourishment is totally important, because your tissues need amino acids. They critically need healthy fats. You need to have fat to burn fat. This low fat dieting, we've started to realize, even the Heart Association has said they were all wrong. Makes you kind of wonder what else they're wrong about. You need micronutrients. You need to stop having blood sugar swings. Insulin, inflammation goes way up when it's uncontrolled. You simply cannot stay ahead of repairing the body unless you learn to keep taking out the garbage the sugar makes. It gives you an upper hand over breakdown. And breaking down is more than restoring, is totally avoidable. So, stress reduction, food, water, safety first, change second. So when old injuries linger in the body, what helps the most is not intensity, it's safety, a sense of internal safety in the movement, which is seeing the protector, and supporting the body on all the different levels. And that's the relationship you bring to the body. Your body goes, well, finally. So, bring your protection back to your body. Move in the direction of ease after stiffness, and you say to the body, hey, there might be another option here. And when you return to the original stiffness, you're asking, did the map change? And be curious. The body's much more likely to soften when it feels understood than when it feels pushed. And that's true of everything and everyone. So if you have an old injury or scar, just remember, the body adapted to it for a reason, and that adaptation was intelligent. It may have helped you get through something difficult at the time or protected you the best in really the only way it knows how, by getting short and tight. And even if that pattern's been there for years, that doesn't automatically mean it's permanent. Bodies change, fascias change, maps internally change. And when you combine safe movement and breath and regulation and all the nourishment and hydration, mineral support, a microbiome that's robust, and patience and care for yourself, your body learns to trust the updates you're giving it. You are not broken. Your body has just been protecting you. And protection can soften when it no longer has to do the job alone. Same with all of us. So, if you tried that seated practice, tell me what you noticed. Did one side feel more defended? Did the easier side help stiffen help ease the stiffer side? Because it usually does. And did you notice your breath making a difference? And again, like I said, if you can, subscribe. It makes a big difference. And until next time, safety first, change second. We are not forcing flexibility. We're restoring permission. And that's what the body loves. May you bring it into the rest of your life, you guys. See you later.